Today we're doing a classic old fashioned. This is a stirred cocktail, so you're going to need a mixing glass. It doesn't have to be a super nice one like this, any old pint glass will do. A bar spoon. If you don't have a bar spoon, a long spoon will do, but having a long handle really makes it easy to maneuver with the stirring. A jigger, we're using the Japanese style, so 2 ounces, 1 ounce. This is going to be primarily a real boozy cocktail, so stirring is quite key with this. We're using bourbon as our base. This is McKenzie Bourbon, coming from the Finger Lakes, Seneca Lake to be exact. We're using J.M. cane syrup. If you do not have cane syrup at your house, you can use a simple syrup. So you want to dissolve equal parts sugar and water in a small saucepan, let it cool off, and then you can have some handy simple syrup, which is a great base for your cocktails. You need this as a modifier for most classic cocktails. We're using 2 types of bitters. Oftentimes recipes will only be calling for the Angostura, but we like to add a little orange bitters for dimension. So if you have orange on hand, feel free to use both of them just to add a little emphasis on dimension, not to just get baking spice, but also get a little citrus. And on that note, an orange. You want a generous orange peel as your garnish. So there's a lot of misnomers about how to make an old fashioned. I think it was pretty popular for a while where people were muddling cherries and sugar cubes, but this is a pretty classic take on it, where we're just going to be using everything that we showed you and a nice stir. The stir is for dilution. There's some variations that call for the addition of some water, but in lieu of water, we're just going to make sure we do a really nice stir to not only chill it, but to dilute. So 2 ounces, so the large side of your jigger. Feel free to go right up to the top. It's okay to spill some, that's why you want to go all the way to the top. That's going to be your McKenzie Bourbon. And then we're using 0.25, 1/4 ounce of your cane syrup or your simple sugar, your simple syrup that you can make at home. Dump that on in. And bitters. Don't forget your bitters. So we're going to be doing, depending on how bitter you like it, anywhere from 2 to 4 dashes of the Angostura. So, and don't be afraid of Angostura. You really want to do hearty dashes. It's going to add a bittering component, plus a lot of aromatic baking spices. And then you want a little citrus with the orange bitters. And this is where stirring comes into play. If you want to top off with a little more ice. Just make sure that you really integrate the ice with your bourbon and with your simple syrup here. Again, this is not just for chilling the drink, this is actually for dilution. So again, we didn't add, that 1/4 ounce of water, we didn't add a teaspoon of water into this. In lieu of that, we're just gonna be really effective with our stirring here. A lot of people say to stir for about a minute. Once you do it a few times, you can do it by feel. You won't really have to count. But there's nothing like a really well integrated, properly diluted, properly chilled old fashioned. Feels about right. Now you want to take a double rocks glass and use fresh ice. So you don't want to dump your dirty ice, that is the ice that we just used for stirring, because that's already diluted. You want to pour it over some fresh ice. If you have one of those big ice cubes, it's going to melt a lot slower, so it's going to dilute your drink a lot slower. Grab your Hawthorne strainer, 2 sides, and then you want to pour over your fresh ice. And last but not least, we're going to be using our orange peel. If you don't have a fruit peeler, you can use just a regular knife. The idea is that you want to get just the pith. So you don't want to get it all the way in so that you're cutting into the actual juice of the orange. The pith will be the white part, and that's quite bitter. We're not looking for juice, we're looking for oil here. So the oils are on the skin on the outside. If you want to make it pretty, feel free to cut off some of the rougher edges. If you've ever wondered how bartenders get these peels so pretty. And here's the key. You want to express the orange peel, again, with the oil side out. So flip it to make sure that the skin is on the outside and squeeze it. And when you do so, you release all these aromatic citrus oils. And you can take the peel and you can rub it around the edge, because you drink with your nose as well. And then feel free to drop your garnish in, and voila.